So Clemmons, North Carolina has an A+ ranking on niche.com. It's one of the most popular places to live in and around Winston-Salem, but not only is it ranked highly and very sought after for Winston-Salem, it's actually the #1 ranked place to live in the entire Triad area. So I get questions all the time about people thinking about moving to Clemmons. In this video, I want to talk about 9 things that you really should know before you move to Clemmons. And the last one has to do with housing. It's something that really makes Clemmons unique in that regard, so stick around for that. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell real estate. If that's you, my contact information is below, but let's get right into it. The first thing you need to know about moving to Clemmons is that it's growing. Actually, it's growing a lot. The population back in 1990 of Clemmons was just about 6,000. It was a pretty small town. Contrast that with what's going on today. It's almost quadrupled in size. The estimate for 2022 is that the population is almost 22,000. So a lot of growth in a relatively short period of time. And there are good things and bad things that go along with that, right? Some of the roads got a little too crowded, so they needed to be improved. Some still need to be improved. There are a lot more amenities in Clemmons now than there used to be. There are newer schools, a lot more newer housing. So there are good and bad that go with that growth, but it's an important thing to know. Clemmons is popular, it is growing, and it's growing pretty quickly. The next thing really that you know about Clemmons is about the downtown. And that's that there's not really one in Clemmons. One of the great things about North Carolina and the Triad area in particular, it's got, the larger cities of Winston-Salem, and it's got all these cool little small towns around there. And Clemmons is a great town, don't get me wrong, but a lot of those small towns have some really quaint or unique downtowns, and Clemmons is just kind of lacking in that department. It has the main or thoroughfare that goes up Louisville-Clemmons Road, oddly enough named. That's about it. It's more like what you would see on just a busier... It's more like what you would see on a 2-lane highway or 4-lane road, strip malls and shopping on either side. It's not really like a downtown, so Clemmons is kind of lacking in that regard. The next thing you need to know is about the schools. They're highly sought after and highly ranked. This poses an interesting situation. It's one of the drivers behind Clemmons' growth. A lot of families want to move here because the schools are highly ranked, and sometimes those schools can get a little bit crowded. And while Forsyth County has school choice in it, it is dependent on the capacity of those schools. So if you're just moving somewhere outside of Clemmons but still in Forsyth County and think, oh, I'll get there because they have school choice, just know the schools are highly sought after, and just because you put in there that you want to go to West Forsyth High, for instance, in Clemmons, it's not a guarantee that you'll get into that zone. Almost every client that I've talked to has been able to switch schools when they've wanted to, but just know that the schools in Clemmons are highly sought after. If you're outside that school zone, getting to transfer into it is not a guarantee. The next thing you should know about Clemmons, in how I just mentioned before about the lack of a downtown, that kind of goes with this one, is it doesn't have like a small town feel as much. It feels more like a suburb. I moved from the suburbs of Chicago, and granted, while Clemmons is small in that regard, at just under 22,000 people, the feel of it is kind of more suburban feeling than kind of quaint small town. I like to compare it with Louisville. Louisville, just north of Clemmons, also right next to Winston-Salem, very popular and sought after as well. But Louisville kind of feels like a quaint small town, where Clemmons feels more like an established, more of a suburban feel, which you might be used to if you're not from the area. Next thing to talk about in Clemmons are the restaurants. And they're getting better. That's good news. There is a lot more choice that's coming to Clemmons. There's a lot more variety. Again, when I talk about restaurants, I'm talking, independent, not the chains. It has all the, Chili's and all the IHOP and the chains and stuff like that you would want. I'm talking about more of the independent restaurants. There's a lot more variety and some much better quality restaurants that can be found in Clemmons. They have a really good steakhouse. Three Bulls Steakhouse is a good one in Clemmons. And actually, it's surprisingly good for pizza. You have Cugino Forno has a location in Clemmons. Mediterraneo is a great Neapolitan pizzeria that's in Clemmons. And Mario's is a local chain that makes a good, serviceable New York-style pizza that my kids love to have every now and then on a weekend. Also have a couple good taco places in Clemmons. There's a sushi and ramen place that's pretty good. So the restaurant scene in Clemmons really just even in the last couple years has really kind of stepped its game up. That's exciting for the future as the town grows. It's nice to see some independent, more quality-minded restaurants take hold in Clemmons. Next thing to know about moving to Clemmons is there are a lot of things to do, a lot of outdoor activities that you can do in Clemmons. Probably one of the most popular is Tanglewood Park. People come from all over to go to Tanglewood Park. It's common to get people from, Winston and the surrounding areas to go down to Tanglewood. There's so many activities there. Ponds for fishing, there's horseback riding, there's motorcycle trails. There's just a lot of stuff to do at Tanglewood. And then obviously every Christmas, it's probably famous for the Festival of Lights that goes on there and has a lot of traffic. So plan on waiting if you're going to the Festival of Lights and you don't get there early. Outside of that, you have, there's axe throwing in Clemmons, there's bowling alleys, there's a lot of different things to do. There's a lot of shopping in Clemmons. And then just down the road, you have Rise Indoor Sports, which is a huge indoor sports facility. And they have outdoor soccer fields, baseball fields, and stuff as well. So lots and lots of things to do right in Clemmons. Speaking of shopping, that's the next thing you should know is there's surprisingly a really good choice for a smaller town of its size in shopping in Clemmons. Now on the grocery stores, we have Lowe's Foods, Harris Teeter. Right now there are 2 Publix in the entire Winston-Salem area. One of them is in Clemmons, nice big store that people really love. And this one made the kind of news in the Facebook groups when it was happening. I'm trying not to smile at that, but it is what it is. There was a big deal when they got a new Aldi coming to Clemmons. It was a big deal when Aldi came to Clemmons. It rehabbed an existing old Kmart and people were just really excited to have a brand new Aldi in Clemmons. So you have that going for you as well. If you want to go like Target, you're going to still go into Winston-Salem, which is about a 15-minute ride, 20 minutes. Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, same thing. You got to go for some of that stuff. Or for the big box stores, a lot of those you're going to still go into Winston-Salem, but a surprising amount of grocery stores and then a lot of little independent shops, whether it's a cigar store or a tortilleria actually in Clemmons. There's a lot of just different little shops, boutiques, different things like that to do in Clemmons, which is a little bit surprising for a town of its size, but lots to do if you're into shopping. Next, we'll talk about the commute in Clemmons. A lot of people in Clemmons commute to Winston-Salem, obviously. That's a super easy ride right into downtown, depending which part of Clemmons. Clemmons is long, so it goes from Forsyth County in the north down to Davidson County in the south. And, that ride into Winston-Salem is, 15, 20 minutes, depending where you're going in there, maybe 20 to 25. If you're going to, Collins Aerospace or something like that. One thing that they did a couple years ago is they widened and totally redid 40 out there, and it is an easy drive. Coming out from Clemmons, just hop on 40, go right down into Winston. It's a really simple drive. If you're going to Greensboro, it's more on the, 30 to 40 minute commute. So still not, unmanageable. If you need to go to Volvo or something like that, that's probably on that, about that 30-minute mark from Clemmons. So really simple commute. The new highway that's gone through there makes that much easier. So that's what you need to know if you're going to commute from Clemmons. Now, housing in Clemmons is the last thing that I wanted to talk about. It's pretty unique in its situation in the Triad, and I'll explain what I mean by that. First thing, let's go over the median sales price. It's obviously a little bit higher than normal in Clemmons with, popular schools, a growing population. The price for housing tends to be a little bit higher. Right now, when I'm filming this, the median sales price in Clemmons is $370,000. Now, there's a huge variety of housing in Clemmons. There are new apartment buildings that have gone there. There's new apartments that are planned, but there are homes from the 200s all the way up to well over $1 million in Clemmons. So, and a lot of different things in between. Do you like, more new developed neighborhoods where there's a lot of kids and family are drawn there? They have that. Do you like a little bit kind of older homes with bigger lots? They have some of that. There's just a really big variety in housing in Clemmons. And the other thing to note about housing in Clemmons is 2 things. One is a lot of the new development that's going to go on in Clemmons is going to be south of 40. That's going to be for the Triad area in general, as you know, that part leading into the Carolina core just gets more developed over the years. But there's land south of 40. There is currently a lot of new construction down there. That's kind of where the growth is going to come right now. So while people might say, oh, there's nothing to do, you like south of Clemmons, give it a few years. That part of town is really filling out. There's going to be lots of new development there over the years, and I expect it to help Clemmons grow even more. The last thing to know about housing in Clemmons is the new construction. Right now, new construction accounts for about 25% of the sales in Clemmons, which is pretty unique in not only Winston-Salem, but the entire Triad. It's about double the amount of the rest of the Triad. So right now, where the rest of the Triad is about 10 to 13% new construction sales, Clemmons represents about 25% of their sales come from new construction. So again, that points to a growing area, lots of people moving here. That also points to the higher median sales price as well in Clemmons. But if you need help moving to Clemmons or anywhere in the Triad or moving from Clemmons, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can email me at jeff@govalentino.com and we can talk from there. Thanks so much.